54 minutes. Is that right? I got 54 minutes? All right. Hi, everybody. Zazoo Plazz here. Leslie the Little Plazic. Zazoo Plazz. October 8th, 2020. Did I write 2022? No, it's 2023. October. We're officially in spooky season. Here in Connecticut. I'm out here. It's like, I don't know, like 10:30 at night, something like that. I'm here in got my Halloween shirt on, but it's a little chilly. So I might have to wear my hood here. It's that kind of weather. It's like too warm for a hat, like a wool hat or something that's sick, like my mother used to call it whatever my dad wore, because we're French Canadians, descent. Whenever somebody in my family wore one of those, those caps, the winter hats, right? The cotton or polyester, whatever. Whenever somebody wore one of those, my mother would call it a tsuk. I can't even say it. It's like tsuk, like TS, like tsuk. And it's basically like a cap, like an old sailor's cap, from the old days. Because they were, Quebec is right near the ocean, They had the St. Lawrence River going through there. There was a lot of nautical, we eat a lot of salmon up there in Quebec. We have salmon pies and everything is either pork, onions, potatoes, and salmon. Those are like, and celery, anything. French Canadian cuisine has a lot of that. So, that's not really where I was going, but, that's the vibe I'm getting tonight. It's that season where it's too cold for a baseball cap and too warm for a sick. So I got my hood on, which I may have to zip up. Over here in my backyard. Got my groceries yesterday, so that's no problem. I'm going to do a quick astrological update here. We got the Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Libra. Venus is going into Virgo, it's into Virgo. And Mars is going into Scorpio next Wednesday. So we're headed into Scorpio season. Yay! That's where my sun is. Moon's in Libra. So, that's the Libra vibe I'm getting today. So, we're all about vino today. Vineyards, not so much vino. Yeah, a little bit. Vineyards and watchtowers. So I'm going to San Francisco. Circa 1981, folks. Buckle in. I'm heading up to my 40th high school reunion. And man, if there was one band, I'm just going to put this out there. If there's one band that was like, it band during my high school years, it was Journey. It was Journey. And they're from San Francisco. So it all kind of ties together. I'm going to try to make it tie together. But I remember, it's a big Journey fan. I mean, and it almost got to the, really? Another Journey song? But that was the music of my youth, man. Journey, And I was listening to this particular song, which I'll share later. And I was getting chills. I was just getting this sort of a flood of emotion coming up. And just, hearing some of these songs and, you get choked up. You get a little choked up, Because it was, a time, it was an innocent time, really. It was kind of I'm reading second reading today. Paul to the Philippians. Do what is lovely, gracious, excellent, honorable, and pure. And if Mars is in Libra, Mars is about doing, right? Mars is about going and getting and doing, and Mercury is in Libra, so, and the Sun is in Libra. So there's a lot of that Libra energy where Mars is in its detriment. Mars, it rules Aries, which is across the astrological wheel, right? Recording already, okay. Nice. Mars is across the, rules Aries, which is across from Libra, which is ruled by Venus. So what you have is Mars is not comfortable talking things out and being nice and, you know, you and me. Mars is like, I'm doing it. It's like my youngest son, you know, he's in Aries. I'm going. You know, it's like, well, was he here? I said to my husband, was Zach here? Oh yeah, okay. He took his car, he left his car, he went off with this friend or that friend. Like, that's, you know, that's Aries. So Mars is like that kind of energy. So when we have Mars in Libra, it's kind of like, you know, a little uncomfortable. Like, you know, when you're going out, you know, you're a kid and your parents make you get dressed up and go over your aunt so-and-so's house and sit there and have dinner, and she's really prim and proper. You know, like, I remember even as a little kid, my mom had relatives in Fall River, Massachusetts, and I was real little. They'd get me all dressed up, you know, like a little doll, take me out there, you know, visit the relatives, my great-grandmother. I have a picture of me looking at her. You know, I was a year and a half or two, you know, all the way up till I was 5. I think she died when I was about 4 or 5. But, you know, that was the 60s. They dressed me up like a little doll, you know, put on my cousin's hand-me-down coat. Picture me standing with chubby legs, standing in the drive, like clutching my little dolly, like, really? We're going to do this now? Really? Take me up to Fall River and parade me around for all the relatives. Oh, those are good times, I'm telling you. I didn't have much choice in the matter, right? So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, how lucky am I to get to know my great-grandmother? You know, I think she's the only one I knew, my only great-grandparent. I think all the other ones were gone by then. But, yeah, so, where was I? Oh, Mars and Libra, yeah. Yeah, so Mars isn't really, so it's kind of like that vibe where, you know, and there's a solar eclipse in Libra, October 14th. Diplomacy and compromise in relationships. And there's a square to Pluto, which is Pluto has got to run it over first, get rid of the old stuff, so we can build something new, right? So that's perfect with the readings, you know. And anybody, you know, I'm not going to fight about this or anything, but this is just stuff I throw out to you. I'm not out to convert anybody. I'm Gen X, whatever, you know. If you find it interesting, you want to do some research of your own. If you find my ideas, you know, useful, to just try to credit me, you know, for obvious things. Don't, like, you know, take my stuff, because I'll hunt you down and I'll get you. But, you know, these ideas are not mine. Well, this I'm saying is, you know, this video is mine, but I mean, these are ideas that we can bounce around. They don't belong to anybody. You know, I can credit the Bible. I credit when I quote from somebody, you know, when I share somebody's stuff. You know, shout out to Gen X Jono. Just was in one of his live events tonight. So another one of my fellow creators, and they're doing some exciting things over there. Yeah, you know, I've been wanting to start a podcast or be on one. If I'm invited. You know, I've got some things up my sleeve. I'm not going to talk about them right here, because if I don't do them, then you're going to say, oh, you said you were going to do that and you never did. So that's not good for me. I can't make promises. But, you know, I'm always tossing around ideas. Every day I get up, I got about 15 more of them lined up. Say, what about me? What about this? What about that? So I go around in this, you know, trying to get everything down, and some of them fall through the cracks. Some of them, you know, actually get done. So, but I have no shortage of ideas. But, you know, if something I say makes a bell go off or inspires you to go out and do something on your, you know, on your site or on your, if you're doing a Gen X page or an astrology or something, whatever. If something I say inspires your work, that's great. I love that, I want to be of service, of use somehow. But I just go out and spout, and it makes me feel good, so I'm going to keep doing this no matter what. And I do not get paid, disclaimer. I sell my books, I'm hoping to sell more books, and I'm hoping to get more followers so I can do bigger and better things. The more followers we have, the more fun we can have. I can do a Facebook group, I can do a newsletter. There's a lot of things, but I need more people to like my stuff. Otherwise, it's not gonna be worth my while to, expand much. I mean, I can do it, but, I'm gonna have to get another job, and I don't wanna do that. So right now, this is what I'm doing. This is what I wanna do. So anyway, shameless self-promotion. Pass it on if you like my stuff. All right, I'm not gonna do that again today. So, yeah, I'm not just about Gen X. I'm Gen X and astrology. I'm never going to just be about one thing. And if I'm about one thing this week, maybe next week I'll change my mind. So, nothing is set in stone. Just the theme for today, stone and vineyard. So we've got this vineyard owner, back to Isaiah. He's got this nice little vineyard, think San Francisco. When my husband and I were first married, 97, we took a trip to San Francisco, and we rented a car and we drove up to Sonoma. Napa and Sonoma, they have the grapes up there, the vineyards, and they make all kinds of wine, and we had no kids yet. So we went on the wine tasting tour. Let's go drink wine. It was great. We got rented a cool car, drove up to Sonoma, and it was, those early honeymoon kind of days. But it was fun, and there's pictures of us, wearing our Ray-Bans and driving the car, drinking wine. It was fun. But we got to walk in, the visitors area of the vineyard and see all the grapes, and there were various different kinds of grapes. And, it takes a lot of money to do that. And there's money up there, it costs a lot of money. So imagine if you own one of those places, right? And then, you put a lot of work into it. You have to wall it off, right? So not just anybody can come in and wild animals come and drink your, eat your grapes, because you got to, make money off of it, right? You're open to, take the grapes and sell the grapes or make wine or whatever, right? And the vinegars and things like that. So this guy, he puts a tower so he can, look at his grapes, see how they're doing from a high. So, that's God, right? That's God looking down on his vineyard, which is his kingdom, right? The earth and the people on the earth and everything, he's got going on. His kingdom, the kingdom of God, right? And then, so then you've got, what happens is, that he's not getting a crop, right? He's got this great vineyard and no grapes are growing. He's not getting anywhere. So early times in the Old Testament, he's like, what am I doing here? Knocks down the walls. Let's just let it go wild, right? So that's kind of like in the beginning, right? When just a few people were, hearing the word of God, and it was just the chosen, right? And then the knocking down is just, everybody. So God is not just for one group of people. And then when you get these, religions or whatever who try to say, oh, you're only going to get God here for a limited time. And for $19.99 you get God. And wait, there's more. No, it doesn't work that way. God is accessible to everyone. And God is in everything. Source, we know. Okay? But there has to be that in-between period. It's this is not working, this experiment. Let's just, tear it down and just make it a free-for-all. for wild grapes for everybody. My grandfather, my dad's father, had vines in his backyard. My younger cousin, 2 years younger than me, 3 years. He used to take him back there. He never took me, but he took him back there, and he remembers, looking at the vines with Grandpa. I remember looking at the tulips with Grandpa. He used to take me walking along his yard in the front, and he had these beautiful tulips. Every spring they'd come up, and a girl. So I like the flowers. My cousin, he liked the grapes and the pear trees. So, and then you have this other reading, the gospel. Yeah. Same theme, right? Matthew 21. Man leases his vineyards to a bunch of tenants. That's God, right? And tenants are, the people of earth, people of, in his kingdom, right? On the people historically in the Bible, right? And then, so the tenants, the original, chosen, I guess, are the tenants, right? And this is not, this is my interpretation, right? So if you read the Bible, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a racist thing. I'm not talking about bashing religion. I'm looking at the metaphors in the Bible that kind of apply, across space and time. And I'm linking them to pop music from the 80s. See that? You're not going to get that anywhere else. Maybe you will, but it's what I have to offer. So the owner, so the guy goes on a journey. How appropriate. It says in the Bible, he goes on a journey, and the tenants beat up his servants who were trying to harvest the grapes, and then he said, I'll send my son. They won't bother my son. They kill his son. Is this starting to sound familiar? And then he says, well, when I come, and you better watch out, because, you do this to my son, my servants, and this, all right, you better watch out. You're going to get it, right? So, you find some better tenants, and then fruit, who can, get the fruit. Find some, So that's his tenants, his better tenants are those who, accept him, who accept his son, who, and that's who the fruit goes to. That's the kingdom of God, the yield, the fruit, the wine. So, yeah, and then the famous line, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. So I'm thinking, stone, cornerstone. Stone in Love, Journey, released, it's on the Escape album. But the single, I guess, was August 81. It was about 81, which was my, start of my junior year in college, the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I guess 70 to 80, 81, yeah, summer between my sophomore, so I was 15, almost 16 that time. So I mean that was good stuff. It was a rock radio staple, still is. It's a great song. So I guess stone means solid, like completely. I guess people don't say that anymore, but I guess stone in love was meant to mean, it's not going to break. It's solid, right? Stone. So the stone, that's what you want to build your building on, right? You want a stone, something that's solid, that's not going to go anywhere. You can start there, and that's what cornerstone is. It's the cornerstone of the, new world, the new project, God's new world, right? So, that song, that's a soulful song. You can listen to that song and never get sick of it. Well, you can get sick of it, but it's one of those that it definitely gets the feels going. That was a summer. I made some new friends that summer. Made a new friend. I spent the summer down. That was a weird summer because my parents had just built their house down in Rhode Island, their cottage. We built it, and they used to take, speaking of building, used to take me when I was, before I was even a teenager. We started going down and we got the land, and then, between when I was like 10 and 15, maybe, somewhere in there. Well, was I like 12? I don't know, middle school, we bought it. And then, we'd go down on the weekend, just, look at the foundation, go have something to eat and drive back home to Connecticut, back and forth. Yeah, so, and my parents didn't like to rent their house. They never rented their house to anybody. Other neighbors of ours would do that, My parents, they didn't trust anybody else to be in their house. They'd have guests, but even me, I think once they, in my 20s, I convinced them to let me, be down there with a friend, and then they found like a soda can or a beer can or something, just not like I had a big party or anything, but, I was in my 20s. I was 20, it was before I met my husband, but, I had friends, we'd go down to the beach this one time, and we got all the garbage, we cleaned the house, and I thought I left it, but there was like a soda can or something. It's not like we had a big drunken party, it was me and a friend. And I don't know, they found something in the trash can. It was a soda can or something that we missed, and I caught it, and they're like, no, you're not gonna go down and use the house anymore. So anyway, I don't know why I'm just thinking about that, but it was kind of embarrassing because I was with this, friend, just, hanging out. It wasn't any big thing. We just went to the beach for the overnight or something, But my parents were very particular with their, with their place. So, it was their place. It was, different. It was kind of, but that was when I was older. Yeah. So, but when I was younger, of course, in high school, I went down. That was the summer of '81. I was 15. I was so bored. My mother said, well, why don't you just get out of here, go ride your bike, maybe you'll meet some kids. And there was, our neighbors, there was a lot between us and them. And there was a boy who was a couple years older than me, who lived in the house, and so at nighttime, we could see each other. They had an upstairs part, and we had an upstairs part, which is the main living area. And we used to wave and see each other. He'd go out at in his deck. He'd wave to me, I'd wave to him. So he ended up, this friend I met that summer, ended up, it was like my first boyfriend. And they lived in Connecticut and came down on the weekends. So, that's who my date was to my senior prom. I don't think I went to his. So that was in '83. So we were friends. Because, and then he introduced me to a bunch of other kids down there. I didn't know anybody. But, thanks to him, they had already been going down there because he had older brothers and sisters who were much older. He was born in '63. They had boomer siblings, and so they had been going down. His parents were a bit older than mine, but they were friends. They got to be really good friends. This core group of people down there. Some of my parents' closest, dearest friends. All the people who bought houses from in the same development. So he and I, got, because I didn't have anybody else. He showed, he took me out in his boat, summer. I was out there. If he went, and they also had a condo in Florida, West Palm Beach. So if he went away, he left me in charge of the boat. I'd go down to the marina. I'd have a sawed off milk carton, and I'd be bailing out the boat every time it rained. He was a Virgo. So we have some stories. I think I showed a picture of two of us a while back in our shorts at Watch Hill. He showed us around, but that was the journey summer. That was a I think I went, I don't know if it was the summer, no, the summer before that. I went to my best friend's place at Hampton Beach. I'll talk about that another time. But 81 was, that, I remember his dad was trying to teach me, because 15 and a half, you could get your driver's permit back then. So his dad had a little VW. My friend had a VW Bug, like an old one from the 60s, like classic, blue with a white top. And his dad had a stick shift car. And we had, not a lot of traffic on our street, so you could drive around all these little deserted, blocks. It was a big loop that went around, and then you could go to the beach. You could snake through and go to the beach road and, we always rode our bikes. So his dad takes it upon himself to try to teach me how to drive a stick shift. And it was that summer, I think. Man, he's like, okay, you put the gas and you step on the clutch and you do this. I'm like, okay. That was the last time he volunteered to do that. He was red. He was like white knuckles gripping the side, sweating. By the time we went around, we did like one loop. That was it. Poor guy. But yeah. So my son got, he got his '96 Miata, which has a stick shift. He's like, Mom, I bet you don't know how to drive a stick shift. I said, yes, I do. He's like, well, you're not driving this. This is my car. I'm like, okay. But I know how. And I did get it eventually. I think, I seem to remember that it stuck with me. And one time I had to end up driving my boss's car in Miami because he got sick and he couldn't drive. And it was a stick shift, so I had to stay driving down the highway. I think I drove his car in Hialeah, which was in Miami. Anyway, I remember being on the highway. He's throwing up out the window, and I'm driving the car. We Gen X women, we're amazing, right? Don't underestimate us. I have some good stories, man. I think most of them are true. Some of them are partially true that I've embellished a little bit, but they're mostly true. And they stick out in my mind, so they must be true. Anyway, I was in Miami. I did drive with my boss to Hialeah. He took me to Daytona. We were going to Daytona Beach to see where they race the cars, And he did get sick, and I did have to drive. And I'm thinking it was a stick shift, but that might have been another time. So that part of it is, anyway. So I think I'm, Steve Perry, Stone in Love. Whew, wow. And when you're a teenager, that's the thing. You think you're stone in love, right? Oh, especially that first one or two, that first one. Man, because you don't know, right? What kind of experience yet? That's what my grandmother used to call puppy love. And then you get to be in your, older, and you're like, that didn't work out too well. But, you still have those fond memories of those innocent times, right? Of yourself, what you miss, you don't necessarily, need to be with those people or miss those people because you both moved on and it's good. What you miss is the you used to be at that time. And that's why nostalgia brings us back. It reminds us of, all the different times in our lives, the emotions, the times that, made us who we are, right? And the more you recapture that, then you can go forward with more of yourself You know, collect all the little pieces and go, you know, hit the road. Go up to, you know, go to San Francisco or whatever. You know, flower in your hair, whatever, like my mother-in-law used to. Anyway, so that's it. Zazoo report for this week. Yeah, so Halloween's coming. Get your costume. I'm going to go buy some pumpkins maybe this week. Oh, that's the other thing that's going on. We're getting a new roof put on our house on Friday the 13th. And my husband, I can't go, oh, the other thing is I can't go back to my yard and walk in my backyard because my husband tonight had some fireworks to use up when we have moles. So he took a page from Caddyshack and he put the fireworks in the little mole holes and shot them off. Flying little rodents coming up out of the ground. So he said there still might be some that didn't quite set off, so we have to go tomorrow and hose down the lawn. I'll go back the long way. Until next week, Zazoo Plazz signing out. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.